Hey there, welcome to this live stream about using AI to do complex quotes in Salesforce. Um, I love solution selling, particularly when it's dealing with very technical projects and high value. And so oftentimes customers in those situations like two or three options, but despite all of the bundles and pre-packaging and templates, it always ends up being a very kind of manual, tedious process. So I'm going to walk through how I would generate two or three quote options for a customer. And another thing I like about AI is that I can talk and think about 10 times faster than I can type. So we're going to use a new feature here, which is the voice activated assistant. So let's dig into this. Hey there, help me build some quotes for a new data center project. The client has a budget of $350,000 to set up a server rack for video processing and streaming. I want to generate three separate quotes that individually optimize for compute, storage, and network bandwidth. We should also build in about 30 hours of professional services and a high-level SLA to support the effort. So the agent's captured that here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's pretty clear what I want. So yeah, individually optimize for, do some bullet points, compute, storage, network bandwidth, and everything else looks good. Okay, so that's going to go off and cook for, I don't know, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. It could actually go quite a while. So I'll be kind of flipping back and forth here because it's probably going to prompt me along the way as it hits some waypoints. So while it's doing that, let's talk about, let's just answer the obvious question of what is an agent. So if you're familiar with the operating system that you're viewing this on, like a Mac or a Windows, then above the operating system you have applications. So in the AI world, we're entering this new era where we've spent many years building out a new operating system. It's essentially comprised of GPUs and large language models and vector databases and IO and storage. So now we're kind of at this point where, all right, we have a stable stack. We have an actual operating system. So agents are this next tier of applications, and they're installable. So here I'm using an iDialogue agent gallery, and I've installed one of these quoting agents to kind of give me a head start, and because that kind of gets me up and running. And this is kind of what we're building going forward, is we don't really build at the metadata level anymore. We actually just focus on the agents. So the agent says I drafted three distinct quote configurations. It has compute optimized, storage optimized, network bandwidth. Important note, I do see a high level SLA, a gold. I do not see professional services. Okay, so we'll defer that. So the quote options, it's come up with three potentials, compute, storage, and max. And so I'm kind of in preview mode now. I've got the storage version, compute, the bandwidth max. And generally my goal isn't to be perfect. I'm just looking to get a head start. I'm going to do a lot of last mile configuration, but in aggregate, we're talking three quotes with 10 to 20 line items each. So I mean that would take me half a day to really kind of go through all that. But what I'm going to do now is just it's going to ask me some questions. So let's just say okay, let's ignore the pro services SKU for now. Go ahead and generate the three quotes. Okay, so that's thinking, and we'll check in on that. So we're kind of in a domain that's also referred to as CPQ. That's an acronym for configure, price, and quote. So the first question is, where is this agent getting its rules? How does it know how to bundle? I mean, what is bandwidth optimize? How does it know to bundle certain cables in here? So it knows that intuitively, somewhat from its base model, but the component here to focus on is knowledge. So knowledge is a series of natural language expressions that are kind of like they're literally written as if then else statements. So if we were writing code prior to the agentic era, there would be some low level code, and over time that friction of writing code kind of got in the way of the business being able to move fast. So we moved into declarative configuration, reference objects, and the abstractions got even higher. We got into flow-based, and so we're pretty far removed from coding even today. But now in the agentic area, we're literally just writing English, or this could actually be in any language. You can communicate an AI as long as it's consistent and symbolic language. But it's creating a new era of job descriptions as well, because business analysts or BAs used to write a lot of these in their specifications, and then you would throw it over the cubicle and the programmers would implement that. Well, what's changed is a BA will actually write up these requirements, and that is the working code. You can, as a BA, you can sit down and say, well, if a networking product is selected, then we need compatible cabling, and you can get into itemizing the cabling. So it is very much a structured exercise. It's not, you can't be too loose with it, but it's natural language. It also opens up, I mean, how many emails do you get from your boss or VP of sales or the CFO, and it says, hey, going forward, anytime we sell a certain product, we have to be mindful of the discounts and the server volume. And so you can literally just cut and paste that email from the CFO into your rules and start crafting on it, and that's how the system will behave. So let's get back to our agent here. It looks like it did create the 3 quotes. We have bandwidth optimized, we have a compute optimized, and storage. It did keep within we're under budget. So again, at the top of this, I'm looking to stay under 350K. And so it created some quotes, put in the service level agreements, next best options. Okay, so now what I can do, that's pretty cool. Now, if you're familiar with Salesforce, one of these quotes generally will become the primary quote. So I'm going to drill down on just the compute max. And notice everywhere I go, there's an assistant page on every page layout. So I'm still on a quote agent. There is what's called a suggested prompt. I could get into cross-sell and upsell, and why not? I'll go ahead and trigger that. You can pre-craft some prompts, and so you can one-click into them. And this agent has some strategies for cross-sell and upsell. This is actually more appropriate for like a renewal or an existing customer, but we'll just do that one to demonstrate. What I really want to do here is get into some PDF generation and let this one think a minute, because it's looking at all the products. So like I said, my goal is rarely to be perfect, but the agents will get me 80% of the way there, or they get me 90%. So at this point, I could be looking at some discounting strategies. Also within the context of this agent, I could have all the past orders of this client, and I could just ask the agent, what do we normally discount on these products? So that's one option I could do. So the cross-sell, upsell strategy is still running. That'll be definitely something to read here. But it's filled out, it has a description, it explains the quote, it's getting into subtotals, it's carried over the contact names, the account. So that saved me a lot of time right there. And so as a solution engineer or solution sales, at this point, I'd be more thoughtful. I'd probably dig into these individually. Like, okay, it wants 20 servers. Do they really need 20? But, it's kept parity here. So it's going to bundle 20 operating systems with each server. So that's useful. Okay, so I have a lot of upsell, cross-sell here. It's looking at the mix. What stands out, this is clearly positioned as a high-performance top-tier compute. So anyway, what I want to do now, and yeah, I literally did get a whole essay here on the upsell, cross-sell. But so I'm going to get the microphone going again. Okay, now help me generate a PDF quote. And I want to add a promotion that says that they will get a 20% discount on any SLAs if they submit a purchase order within the next 60 days. Okay, so we have our voice converted there to prompt, and we'll go ahead and let that go. So while that's working on the PDF, there's this generating content is a whole area we'll get into in a separate deep dive. Here's a previous one where I generated a quote, and I asked it to look at the bill of materials and generate an image. So I would add this like as an appendix A to the quote and kind of highlight the specific components and the voltages and anything else that's relevant to the quote. And let's see, let's get back to the build out. Okay, well, so on the PDF, it's asking me to confirm a few things. Yes, I can generate it, but I need your confirmation. This introduces non-standard commercial terms. Okay, again, I was talking about the CFO kind of looking over my shoulder. So there's a rule here somewhere in the knowledge base. Includes an SLA, shows no discount promotion stating. So I should not publish it as customer facing without your approval on the exact scope. So for the purposes of live streaming this, let's just get into, usually the agent will say, here's my recommendations. You want to read that, but I'm just going to say, let's go ahead and your recommendations are approved. Proceed to generate the quote. And hopefully this time we'll get some paper out of this. So that's churning away. My usage here, I could refresh this. I'm not sure where we're at. We started with about 12.5. We're at 12.8. So I've used a few hundred credits here. So, I mean, I don't know. At the end of this with 3 quotes and PDFs, I end up spending about $20. And, that really compounds over time. I mean, if I consider the amount of time I would have spent just manually creating all those different quotes, it also compounds over time because different people are impacting on the knowledge base. So all these rules, the organization over several months and years are building into the knowledge items. And so that's what's ultimately manifesting in a quote. Check again. So we'll keep pulling for the files here. So yeah, the usage almost becomes negligible over time. It's just my assistant. It's writing Copilot and everything I'm doing. There is consumption at both the skill level. I can see now, generate documents. I think some of the image generation is doing a code interpretation skill. So you can imbue agents with skills. We'll do that on a deep dive. We'll get into how that works. So, all right, so we have a quote. It's generated here. We'll take a look. Limited time SLA and promotion. We're itemizing all of the server components and the price. Did I come under the customer's 350? I did. Yeah. So we're at 319. Assumptions and commercial notes, purchasing authorization. So yeah, we're staged up so we can get execution on this paper. So that's it. I appreciate your time. A little over the 10 minutes that I promised. We're at about 15, but